Hi guys, welcome to FreeFlight. Tonight I'm going to be showing you a new feature within the system, which is recurring transactions. I'm very quickly going to show you an account, which is my account. I'm going to go in and have a quick look at the account, simply because I want to show you that things are going to happen behind the scenes without anybody needing to do anything about it. If I look, for instance, in December, we'll find that there's one charge in there which just says this is a test, and that's all we have for December. Now, what I'm going to show you next is a series of recurring transactions that I've set up within the system, which you can do quite easily. Let me just close that line up, get rid of the statement. We'll come back to it later. So it's in payments and charges, and it's called, quite naturally, recurring transactions, apologies. So we click on that and we can see a list here, and I've got two set up. The first one is set up for me. Let's have a look at it and see how it's configured. You notice that there's a button at the top called add, which will allow you to add as many recurring transactions as you need. So let's open it up, and you can see it's the customer is me. We've not tied it to a product. It's a site recurring transaction. And the date of the next transaction is actually today, and there is an overnight process set up within the system to trigger at 23:30, which is why I'm being quick, because it's 23:29 now, and it's an annual frequency, so it will trigger at the same time next year, and you don't have to worry about it. There's no date of final transaction, so it will go on and on and on until such time as you cancel and delete the recurring transaction. And that's a text for it there, site fee for site trailer T1, and the value is £200, and it's going to be analysed and put into, in this case, non-flying revenue. In your case, it could be a specific code for the trailers, and that's all there is to setting one up. In the case of sites, there are some shortcuts that you can use to make life easier for yourselves, and I will go and quickly look at that right now. If I just close that up for a second and go over to the sites menu, and we'll look at the, say, you can see we've only got one in the system at the moment, which is for this one here. So if I look at that, often it's easier to do it via the sites, because often you don't know who the syndicate partners are that make up the site. In this case, we've got only one site user, and it's me. There could be 3 or 4 in there. And all I need to do is to click on the button that says create a recurring transaction for this member, and it will automatically set it up for me, and it will pull the fee that it needs from the new annual fee box over here. If you are in the habit of allowing all of the members to pay their fair share of the site, then there is a button at the top that says create a recurring transaction for all site users. And if all the site users are in this list here, it will divide that £200 equally between all of them, and then it will generate a recurring transaction for all of them. The one thing, of course, you have to watch out for is when people change syndicates throughout the year. The onus is on you to keep these records up to date, so there's no hiccups at next renewal time. So that's all there is to it. I'm just going to close that down now and go back to the office menu. Let's have a quick look at 403 and see what's happened. Go over to the statements, look at the 12th, and you'll see that the recurring transaction has occurred, and there's a description that you saw entered in the recurring transaction, and the amount, and it's a charge. And that automatically gets applied to my account. I will see it when I look at my account, when I log in, and then realise that it's time to pay. Now, that's very useful for sites. It's also quite useful when clubs allow members to pay their membership fees in 3, 4, 5, 6 equal monthly instalments, things like that. So you can set them up quite easily, and the system will take care of the rest. So it's again reducing the the labour load on the overworked and underpaid office staff. So, quick look again at one of the other ones. Now that it's happened, you've seen it happen. The kind of things you can get up to. Let's look at this one. This is actually just a test one. So this particular member has agreed to pay so much a week until the fees are paid off, and paying £200 a week. You'll see that there are two transactions on here, two dates on here now. The date of the first transaction, which actually is called the next transaction, and then there is a final transaction date here. So once the system hits that final transaction date, it will then halt processing beyond that point, and there'll be no more recurring transactions for that particular one. Of course, those kind of transactions have to be renewed annually, and we're working on automating that in the very near future, but for this year you'll have to go in and manually change them. Okay, that's all of this for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you get any questions, please call me. Don't suffer in silence. This is all brand new. There are bound to be some questions. I'm here to answer your calls anytime you require. Okay, thanks. All the rest to it. Bye.